do this? Go into it. You're gonna send it? Yeah. So. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. This is our first time doing this. This is the Find Your Purpose Q&A live Sioux City Fire Rescue. As you might be able to tell so far, we've never done this before, but maybe going forward in the future, we'll be a little better at it next time. But overall, I'm excited. I think these guys are excited today. A lot of exciting things going on with Sioux City Fire right now, specifically to our hiring period. Right now, Sioux City Fire is accepting applications for entry-level positions on multiple levels on the EMS division and the fire division. For those of you who don't know, we are Sioux City Fire Rescue. We're one big team, but we do have two different divisions, and that is the fire division and that's EMS division. And we're going to talk about that today because, like I said, we got a lot of exciting things going on. So with me, I got two guests that are going to talk about this because this process is a little different than most jobs, I would say, versus your normal job, where it's a different application period. It comes a lot of questions with that, and sometimes things get confusing or difficult. And the people that aren't in our world, this might be something foreign to where there's a lot of new terminology, a lot of different things that they're not comfortable with, not seeing. So we're here to answer your guys' questions. We are live on the air. If you have anything, feel free to drop some in the comments. We're going to do our best to answer those questions. If not, we got a bunch of stuff prepared here for you guys today of commonly asked questions to sort things out for you guys so we can put our candidates in the best position possible to have success with the application period. So today with me, I got Lieutenant Marchand and Training Officer Terry Regaler. Guys, we'll start with you, Phil. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us where you're at on the department, what you do here at Sioux City Fire, and then a little bit about yourself, how you got into this career field, and then also as a candidate at Sioux City Fire from what you guys remember.
Okay, I would say thanks to firefighter Ben Moorhead here for kind of hosting and putting this together. We kind of came up with this idea for this Q&A for this live interaction and stuff with people where we feel like there's information out there, but you're not necessarily getting it or getting the information you want, and you still have questions. So that's why we are kind of doing this. Coming to you live from Fire Station number 4 up on the north side. You can see the gorgeous antique fire engine behind us inside here in the George M. Kellogg atrium. So, but yeah, my name is Lieutenant Phil Marchand. I'm stationed here at Station 4 as a lieutenant on Engine 4. I've been on the job for just over 20 years now. I grew up in northern Minnesota, in a small town called Virginia, about an hour north of Duluth, or an hour and a half or so from the Canadian border. So if you catch a little bit of an accent, it's still there. It's gotten better over the years and stuff though. So and what brought me to Sioux City Fire Rescue, it was something, I could say that I was the little boy that got to grow up to be a firefighter, so to speak. I grew up, the town I grew up in, I lived just down the block from a main ambulance fire run and stuff. So anytime the sirens would go, I'd run down the street and stuff and watch the firefighters go by and watch the ambulance go by. I could tell just by the sound of the siren what rig was coming and stuff. And it's always been something I've been interested in. I did have a collegiate or kind of a career path I was going on, and I ran into some issues and stuff. And long story short, I came to an impasse in my life, and I believe that my path, so to speak, was chosen for me, and this has been my calling ever since. How I got down to Sioux City, that's another long story, but short story again. At the time, it was the closest to home that was taking applications. That was in 2001, I believe. I think I applied just before 9/11 happened, and then I got hired in 2002, so about a year after 9/11. Like I said, 20 years on the job. It's gone by in the blink of an eye. I mean, it's every day. I tell anybody it's the greatest job on earth. It really is. Coming to work with the people here, the crews that you have, everything about this job. Again, it's something, every little kid, you can say every little kid wants to grow up to be a firefighter, and I got to do it, and it really is. I mean, every day it's something different. It's fulfilling. I mean, to be able to go out and help people every day, it's incredible, on the lives that you could change and stuff. And then when you run into people later on that you helped, or some people that you have a lot of interactions with, or just being in the public and stuff, you just, that networking, that everything, it makes you feel like you're really doing some good, and you're giving back to the community, and just fortunate. I feel fortunate to be here, and and still got a few more years to go before retirement. So hopefully we do it healthy and safely.
Thank you. I appreciate. I probably reiterate a lot of the stuff you said about the job. Now, Terry, Sioux City Fire has been around for a very, very long time, since the late 1800s. One of the biggest changes that ever took place in our department's history is in 2018 when Sioux City Fire took over the EMS division, which was taking over the ambulance from Siouxland paramedics, who ran the EMS services here for a very long time in town. You were part of that transition in 2018, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone and tell us a little bit about you, and then your career in the EMS and working here at Sioux City Fire.
Sure. My name is Terry Regaller. I am the EMS training officer for Sioux City Fire Rescue. I'm actually going on my 23rd year as a paramedic. I got my EMTA. It feels weird to say that since they don't have that anymore.
Because it was an EMT ambulance.
Yeah, it was the EMT ambulance. That was in 1991, so that was a long time ago. There's been a lot of changes since then. I've worked a lot of places. I worked in Michigan. I worked here in Sioux City, though, since about 2013. And I was with Siouxland Paramedics before they closed their doors, but once they did close in 2018, they shouldn't say they closed their doors, but they quit doing their 911 service. I was one of the lucky people to be able to get on the fire department here, and I have been the EMS training officer since January 1st of 2018. So that's how I came this way. This is, if you want to be an EMS provider, this is exactly the job that you want. This is a great organization to work for. We hit a lot of strides. We set a lot of standards. We raised the bar. This is a great place. I'm excited to come to work every day. I don't do 24s anymore. I'm here Monday through Friday, but I like to leave my mark on the agency. How I got into EMS when I was a little kid watching Johnny and Roy. Squad 51. There's a lot of people that knew that show and started their career. Now, though, as I'm transitioning more later into my career, I am running into more people that have said, "I've never seen that show."
Don't even know.
So yeah, we need to have the entire series on DVD somewhere so we can show them when they
should
say
be like
that.
training videos. For the new kids.
So you've been in EMS a long time. You made that comment. I know we're going to be a little biased. We all work here. But would you say, in your experience, has there been a better organization? If you were to look to be a paramedic, an EMT, a better organization to look for, if you were looking for that 911, all the exciting things that everyone looks forward to when they want to become a first responder, would you say this has been one of your best stops along the way?
I can honestly, truthfully say that this is probably one of the best organizations, probably one of the top to work for. Our call volume is high. We get all kinds of calls. This is the best job. If I was starting out as a paramedic, this is exactly where I would want to start. So,
awesome.
I'll
introduce myself. My name is Firefighter Moorhead. I've been a firefighter paramedic with the city now for close to about coming up in 5 years. I am actually in a unique situation. In 2018, when that transition happened, I did start with the EMS division as EMT. I was young. I was about 20 years old at the time, and I was going through paramedic school. I was fortunate enough to get hired on with that one of those original crews. Doing this full-time, paramedic school full-time, and then in that summer I had a fortunate opportunity to get hired with the fire suppression division and make that transfer over. I love my time on both. It really was exciting. For someone like me, I enjoy EMS and I enjoy fire and I enjoy all the fire rescue stuff. So I get the best of both worlds. I get to do a bit of both. Depending on where you're at, that's what we're going to cover today in terms of what's right for you and what's right for our candidates. But I'm not alone. We've had a lot of people come on, work for our ambulances for a number of years, and then make that transition over to the fire department, and kind of get the best of both worlds in a way. And if being a firefighter is something you want to do, just being a part of Sioux City Fire is a great place to start. So before we get into any of our questions, we do have an open house this Saturday, September 17th at the training center. That's 1701 Terminal Drive from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to have rig tours there. We're going to have question and answers. We're going to have firefighters there in person. It's a great opportunity to come out and meet some of our personnel, the men and women that we get to work with every day, and get to know them and get to pick their brains on their experiences. Because for us, this is our world. For our new candidates, they may not know the world all too well. We also got some virtual reality opportunities that we've been throwing together. They're super cool, and we're just going to discuss about the process. So let's get into our first question. Phil, I'll start with you.
Yep.
What employment opportunities are currently available with Sioux City Fire, and what are the differences between these positions?
So currently, right now, we're taking application for both fire and EMS division. I believe we are down a few medics right now, and EMTs and stuff. So that's huge. If you are out there going to if you're in medic school right now or as an EMT school and stuff, it seems there's always some turnover and stuff in EMS. So there's application for that's open a lot of time. Or if you're working someplace else as a medic or an EMT right now and you're looking to make a change, there are positions available for that. Our fire division, we're starting the application process now. That takes a number of months to get through, and I know there's a question down the list, but we can kind of hit on that where we're taking applications now. There's going to be a written test. There's a physical assessment test we can talk about a little bit more in depth a little bit later, an oral interview process, and then the list will finally get, because the current hiring list doesn't expire until February. But this is going to be looking at like potential retirements and stuff like that. This next 2 year, our hiring lists are good for 2 years. That's what people also need to understand, that it's not like you're applying every 6 months here. If you make that hiring list, it's good for 2 years. We're going to have a number of retirees and stuff, so there'll be quite a few spots. I think this is going to be a good hiring list to be on. So if you're motivated, you're excited, you want to be a firefighter, get online, get to the city website. There's QR codes if you pay attention, look around town. I know on our Facebook we're posting all the time, on our Twitter we're posting all the time. Every fire rig has got a QR code on the side of it. You scan that with your phone. That's going to take you to the application page, and you'll be able to fill that out and stuff and get started in the process, at least of making your way on the fire department or the EMS division.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. Yeah, so we have said multiple positions open. For those people that say like, hey, this isn't for me quite yet, maybe a year from now, maybe 6 months from now, what would you tell those people?
I'd say apply.
Yeah.
At least go, if nothing else, at least go through the process. Because just because you're applying and testing, and not to be, Debbie Downer saying like, you apply, you test, and you're going to make the list. Okay, that's not the case. So if the hiring list is 20 people, and we have 150 people take it, that's unfortunate. 130 people aren't going to make the list.
Yeah.
But at least go through the process. So let's say, I'm interested, I'm not sure, but I apply, go through it, I kind of see what it's about, and then make the list, don't make the list. But at least I went through the process. Even if you want to be a fire sergeant, I know guys that are on our job now that tested for Sioux City Fire 3 or 4 times before they got on. I know guys that have tested at 15 different departments because they wanted a job in the fire service. They went all over the place. So yeah, if you're whether you're serious about it or not, it doesn't hurt. Apply, go through the process, and do that stuff anyways. So,
yeah. So thank you. So you mentioned where we can find these positions at. They're all online. We have them on all of our social media pages. We've got QR codes in the rigs, and it's on the city's website for both positions, for the fire division and for EMS division. What are the minimum requirements to work for Sioux City Fire, and specifically both divisions? Let's start with you and talk about the fire position of firefighter, EMT, firefighter, paramedic.
Yep.
What are the minimum requirements to apply and to accept that job?
Yep. So because there is a difference.
Yes.
Yep. We know that there is a difference. And that's where something that I think a lot of people in the public don't understand. So basic things, it's always high school diploma, GED, 18 years of age, that kind of stuff. I got hired at 21, so I took the test when I was 20. So I mean, you don't have to be 25, 30, whatever. So you could take the test right out of high school.
I was 19 years old when I took it. So
yep. So I mean, right at, but again, there is background checks that they do on there. So I mean, basically the same stuff you go through for any job, right? The EMT thing, okay, so that is something that hangs people up. Right now, as the application process is right now, you do not have to have your EMT or paramedic at the time of application or at the time going through the process. You can even go through the whole process, make the hiring list, and not have your EMT. But in order to actually get hired off that list, so at the time of appointment, you have to have it. So let's say you don't have your EMT, go through the process, make the hiring list. Now you got to go find a class, take a class to get your EMT, because you won't get offered a job until you have it. So that's an important thing. With that requirement changed, I know when I took the test, you did have to have your EMT just to take it. A few years ago, a number of years back now, they've gotten rid of that requirement and stuff. So so if that's your holdup, if you think, I don't have my EMT, I can't apply. No, you can apply. You can make the hiring list. You just have to have it to get a job.
Absolutely. So Terry, that's for firefighter. Terry, let's talk about for the EMS division for positions of EMT, basic, advanced, and EMT paramedic. What do you need to apply and accept a job with Sioux City Fire? Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
Engine 4.
It is a firehouse.
It is a firehouse. We're on live. We're operating
3731 Hamilton Boulevard.
Here at
Casey's General Store. Engine 4 and Medic 4. Trouble breathing. 3731 Hamilton Boulevard.
It's 'cause
Casey
since
General
we
Store.
need to have we do have the speakers
Casey
off, so we
General
won't have
Store.
the monitor, but we are gonna hear pages, cause again, it is a firehouse, so the guys here are on duty. We're off duty on, coming in on an off day, so we don't have to respond, but the on-duty crew still is here, so.
So you might hear that in the background, and we'll see what we get, how far we get through. But Terry, can you talk about minimum requirements to work for Sioux City EMS?
So it really depends on the position. So just like Lieutenant Marchand said, you have to be 18. You have to have a high school graduation or the equivalent. But to specifically get an EMT job, you have to have an EMT through the state of Iowa. Some people actually have what's called national registry licenses or certifications. That doesn't count. It has to be a state of Iowa. Now, you can have a national registry, but with your national registry, you have to be able to obtain an Iowa EMT license. So you can't just work here with national registry. If you're going to be a paramedic, you have to also have advanced life support classes such as ACLS and PALS. Both EMT and paramedic also have to have a valid CPR card, but that's all that is required.
Okay. And so if you were, let's say you're an EMT, you can advance your career into, you know, an EMT advanced paramedic and work into those things. Perfect.
Sure. And with that, Terry, you know, you said the national registry versus the state of Iowa one.
Right.
So I came from Minnesota. I had my national registry out of my Minnesota license when I came down here. I just had to take a bridge course. So a few classes out at WIN, just a couple to serve, basically get my Iowa thing. So if you are out of state, don't think that, well, I can't apply, I don't have an Iowa license. You still can apply, go through all the processes, and then, like I said, it's just an easy transition. A lot of states have reciprocity, and so it's just a little bridge course there. So
Perfect. I think that's a great transition to our next question, and that is, if I'm not an EMT, I'm not a paramedic, where can I go to get these certifications?
Currently, Western Iowa Tech here in Sioux City, School of EMS up in Sioux Falls, Iowa Western down in Council Bluffs. I believe there's also some colleges down in Omaha, Lincoln. Pretty much every community college has an EMT class. You can even now find some online, even though they are doing online classes. You do have to go to the campus on certain occasions and do skills. So it's not like you can just do it online and never have to travel anywhere, because you do. But there are some schools locally you can go to.
Yeah, and you would say for most of these schools, at least the minimum of an EMT basic, that's about a 1 semester course. I know at WIT, it's 2 nights a week in the evenings, so it's not during the day. It's night, school friendly, and probably you would say this upcoming winter semester, starting in January, would be a good time to get enrolled. So if you're looking at that, get a hold of those community colleges and their administrations department, and look into getting enrolled in emergency tech class for the winter semester upcoming here in 2023. Okay, so let's talk about what happens when I submit an application and what do the hiring processes look like. Phil, let's start with fire.
Okay.
What happens after I submit an application?
So yeah, you got your application from the city, then you're going to work through human resources and stuff. They're going to be in communication with you as far as the testing process, setting up, telling you what the test date is on. The written test, in the past last few testing cycles, we've had it down at the convention center. And so it's a 1 day, everybody comes in, big room. It's a written test that's more of a general knowledge more so than fire knowledge. So it's a civil service test. We are a civil service entity, so that process is followed. So general knowledge test. You don't have to be a firefighter to take the test. You just, some simple math, reading, just basic stuff. You will find out that day, right after you take your test, you go out and it gets scored right on the spot. So you don't have to wait a couple weeks to find out pass, fail, or whatever. You will find out right then. They scan it, you pass, you don't. If you don't pass, unfortunately, you walk out of the convention center and get to go home. But if you do pass, then we set you up for the CPAT orientation right away. So the CPAT, that's our physical assessment test that people go through. You could go on YouTube and just YouTube search CPAT, C-P-A-T, and you can find a ton of videos. We recommend that to anybody that's looking at testing for the fire department stuff, so you can see what the CPAT entails, so you can start training for it. Because I will say, if you're not training for it already, you're already behind right now, because there is a step mill for a number of minutes on there. It's a lactic acid killer on the quads. If you've been skipping leg day, you're going to find out in a big hurry that you've been skipping leg day. But so there's an orientation, practice sessions, the actual test for the CPAT. So if you can get through that process, Then you get onto the again, the oral interviews and stuff. So the oral interviews are done in a board of some firefighters, civil service people, HR people and stuff. So they ask questions, kind of a Q&A, but they ask questions, you answer, and then they score you on that. And then based on your composite score with everything, then they'll come out with a hiring list. So again, it takes from, the application process here is going to close October 1.
Yep.
The written test will be shortly thereafter, but the list won't get certified until February. So I mean, the CPAT alone takes until about mid-December for that to be wrapped up, and then everything else after that. So it takes a little bit.
It's a long process.
Yeah.
And just hitting on some of these, like you said, the written test, it's kind of, it's kind of is what it is. The CPAT definitely preparing physically, specifically on the stair mill. Would you agree? Stair mill is going to be the biggest thing
that's
to
the
prepare.
biggest. Yep.
So get on a stair, get on some stairs,
Start
get
doing squats
get those
and lunges.
legs. That's
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
And then for the oral interview, I know personally for me testing, I found a lot of good resources in books that chiefs, captains, other departments have written about oral interview, because not only do we do this process this way, but a lot of other fire departments across the nation have a similar process with an oral interview, with a lot of similar questions. And I mean, I have nothing specific. I don't want to promote anything. We don't have sponsors or anything on this show yet, and don't want to get in legal trouble. But you look online and look for books, look for YouTube videos, look for online articles about how to prepare for a firefighter interview. And as you go through with the process, you would say that there are people that kind of prepare you for it in a way too, in terms of this is where I would start. That's how the experience was for me, where I had people tell me, hey, look into these books, look into these websites. When I took the CPAT and passed the CPAT, that was the advice I got. So, awesome. So let's go over to EMS. You submit an application for EMS. What happens after that, Terry?
A lot of what Phil said, kind of the same process. Our testing is a little bit different. We don't have CPAT, we have the EPAT. So you would come in, you would do the EPAT. There are practice tests, because this is a different animal. So people that have worked at other EMS agencies before, you've probably never seen anything like this. So don't skip leg day. You got to have good cardio. You have to be in somewhat good shape. You would do the practice EPATs a couple times, and then you finally do take the EPAT. And then after the EPAT is completed, then we move you within a half an hour into a scenario where you would have to test either a medical or trauma scenario. It is timed, and depending on how you do, HR then contacts you and tell you passed or you did not pass and you failed. And from there, we start to create the list. So much of like what the fire test is, just our testing is just a little bit different, because we have to make sure that there's not as much carrying as the fire guys have to do, but we are more focused on what are your medical abilities, and we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for people that can think on their feet. And do you have a good base of knowledge under you? That's all we're looking for.
And that EPAT, like if you look, if you try to find that online, you're not going to find the EPAT online. That is a Sioux City Fire creation. That was kind of a couple members from our the peer trainers and stuff. So Gaden, John Nelson, a few of the other guys that came together and said we need to come up with a good assessment for EMS personnel, and not just a real basic kind of thing. We need something a little bit more better because of the caliber of a department we are, because of the demands of the job and everything. So they created a base. It's kind of like a CPAT, but it's different because it's geared towards paramedics and EMS and the skills that they need on the physical side of it, and the movements that they're going to do and everything. So it is a more demanding test than what you will find at a typical EMS department stuff. So the step mill still is there. You're not going to wear the weight vest that we do on the fire side, but you still are going to be doing some lifting, some moving and everything. And again, that'll be the same kind of process and stuff, the orientation, the practice process and stuff. So you'll know what you're getting into when you get to the point of actually taking that test too.
So Terry, you brought up a really good point about the EPAT, about kind of, would we both agree on both tests that there are practice sessions? You're not just getting tossed into it blindly. You don't just show up. You actually come in. You get an orientation to it. You get a class on it. You get to prepare. You get to run through it. You even get a whole practice run, multiple if you want, before you actually take that record, EPAT, record, CPAT. And there are opportunities for both. Let you guys both speak.
And we have seen candidates come through that do CrossFit, and they power lift. They do all kinds of gym activities, and they're gassed. And they have a hard time passing. They don't understand what they really need. And just to correct Phil a little bit, because you might not have known it was on there, I saw it today because I actually went a lot of the questions that you posed. I wanted to get it. there actually is a video of the EPAT on the civil service.
It is there.
Yeah,
okay.
you narrated.
Okay. Well, that's the video. Well, I made the video. I made the video for because we had Russ Camp was our model. So
Yeah,
I mean, we made the
so-
video, but I thought that was just for when they show it to the candidates.
No,
I
they
didn't
actually
realize it was
posted
there.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
there you go.
Yeah, if you actually go to a city of Sioux City's website and go to the civil service and scroll down towards the bottom, it's
is
listed.
there. Okay.
So it actually describes what the EPAT is, and then there's a
There's the
video
video.
on there, so you can actually see what the EPAT
And it's,
is.
I did narrate it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
So in terms of preparation for these events, getting online, watching videos, getting physically fit, and then even your oral interviews for like I said, for fire, there's books and resources out there. Then for EMS, everyone should have gone through their EMT class. Maybe it's, I don't know where they're at, but be reviewing maybe some of their EMS skills and their assessments that they would have learned in class to prepare for those oral interviews. So. And then that kind of brings back to another point. Like we have our open house this week, and also we're stationed all over Sioux City.
And not just and you say open house, not just an open house, but like a career day event. So on the flyers and stuff, you see them around town. They're in various places, but you're going to want to wear comfy, tennis shoes, stuff, because there is some physical movements to it. We're going to do a pared down, a little combat challenge kind of thing. So there is a physical aspect to it, just to, again, some of the movements and everything that you would experience as a firefighter. But yeah, it's not just, it's not like an open house at a firehouse where you walk through and do a rig tour. I mean, there is interaction, there's involvement, there's physical things. So it's more geared towards somebody that is interested in job in the fire service, but doesn't quite know or has a few more questions and stuff. Yeah, come down and see what it's about, because that'll give you a real good idea of like, yes, this is going to be awesome. I want to do it, which should be your answer. But it just gives you that opportunity.
I think of like mentorship opportunities. If you were really unfamiliar, especially if we get a young candidate, in that 18, 22 college age range, where they can come in and they're like, I'm nervous for this oral interview. I'm nervous for this. You might get someone that I went through this a couple years ago, or I went through this however long ago, and this is my advice and help you prepare and be set up for success. So moving down, let's talk about the hiring list. Let's talk with the fire hiring list. That list is made, and then what purpose does the list serve, and how is it used?
So once the hiring list is made, so that'll be a list of 20 is what they take. After that, then a lot of the candidates and stuff, you'll get an interview with the chief. And he because chief is the one who ends up doing the hiring and stuff. So, you could sit on the list. I think I sat on the list for a year before I was hired. Some guys don't get hired off the list at all. So, I mean, just because you're on the list doesn't guarantee a job. So it's not like, sending your 2 weeks. So there is no, the list comes out 1 through 20. The hiring is not 1 through 20. It's kind of just based on who's the best fit at the time for what we're looking for. Who's able to get on right away, or just whatever. What the best fit is, the best candidate at the time that we need is who's going to get hired and stuff. And that's decision. Like I said, chief makes that decision. But yeah, you can sit on the list for a while, or you could get hired off it right away. But there are going to be spots available these next 2 years.
Because when we have vacancies, that's what this list is for. This is the list we pull names from to hire from. So next summer, if we have 2 firefighters that right off in the sunset and retire and do a happy retirement, we have to go and we have to replace those people. And so this is the list we pull from. So Terry, let's go to EMS. Kind of, I'd say pretty similar thing. Why don't you talk on that for a bit?
Our list actually lasts 1 year. Okay. We are shorter than the fire list. But our lists pretty much the same thing. We take people as needed. You might be number 2 on the list, but you might be the 5th person hired off that list. It's what we need at that point. Now we do have an EMT list. EMT list, advanced EMT is one list, and then paramedic is a separate list. So even though we do have, unlike fire that has fire list, we have 2 different lists depending on your licensure level. So if we are pretty flush and we lose a paramedic, then we would hire off of the paramedic list, so nobody off the EMT list would move. If we do have somebody off the EMT, that EMT side that leaves, we could take EMT, or we could take paramedic if we need to. But I think we stick to whatever license we need. So, like Phil said, you could be on the list and never come off of it. You could be off the list and be the first one, even though you're ranked 7th. So just
And would
Don't
you-
give up your day job until you get
Yeah.
the call.
Yeah, exactly.
Until you get the
And would you recommend for candidates, let's say you they in mind, made up, I want to work for Sioux City Fire, to apply for both jobs?
Yeah. Yep.
Most definitely. Yes. Yeah.
I think that's a question on here is, can an employee transfer divisions while working for Sioux City Fire? And I wouldn't necessarily say transfer,
Yeah.
but like I said, I was one, and
Yep.
we've had several others that have worked on the ambulance and then eventually made their way over to the fire suppression side. And
But with that, they tested for the fire side and
Correct.
made the fire list.
Yes.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm working EMS and there's a spot open I can transfer. No, they
Correct.
still go through the same. It's a fair thing. They still
Yeah.
go through the same testing process and everything. They still have to make the list.
I would say personally, if I wanted to be a firefighter here, that I'd recommend to anyone that seriously want to be a firefighter here, to don't look at EMS as a great opportunity to start. There's nothing wrong with spending a couple of years. We do both jobs.
Yeah.
So you're only going to get that much better of an EMT, that
Well,
much better of a paramedic, and
especially if you're
understand.
a new medic coming out or a new EMT coming out of
Yeah.
school, and you want to get some street cred and get some street experience, because that's
Mm-hmm.
where that's where you're going to learn. You're not going to learn the job out of a book. You're not going to learn the job doing clinical stuff. You're going to learn the job when you're boots on the ground. You're out in the streets. You're out in the trenches. You're doing it. So yeah. So even if I ultimately I want to be on fire, but I have my EMT or I have my paramedic, you know what? I'm using my skills, because if you're not working, you're going to lose your skills if you're not getting hands on. You've got, this way you're going to get your continuing ed training to keep your certifications up and stuff. You're not going to have to go find refresher class and do all this stuff on your own to try and keep your certification up, so you have it. So you're going to get paid to do it.
Yeah.
So why not? And just like I said, let's get some
Yeah.
experience, and you're on the fire department.
Yeah,
you're
you're on the
on.
fire
You're
department.
part of the fire department. You're in the system. You're here already. You're working. You're in the firehouse. You're working the
Yes.
same schedule the firefighters. The
Same
fire
crews,
division does everything.
getting to know
I mean,
people.
you're yep.
It's
So,
fun.
yeah.
It's a fun job on both sides. So let's go down to this next one. And I think we talked about this earlier, but to accept a position with Sioux City Fire, you need to be an EMT basic at a very minimum.
At the minimum,
you need to hold
yes.
an EMS license.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go into some other things here with with getting a job here with work for the fire department. Let's start with the pay as a Sioux City firefighter. Phil, you want to talk about kind of start entry level position, but then
Yep.
what happens after that?
Yeah, so probation, it's on the application page and stuff. I think probies now are starting out at $58,000 a year.
58 to 62.
58 to
depending on
62.
EMT,
Yeah,
paramedic.
if you're an EMT paramedic, it gets a little bit more higher pays to start out. And it's not just that pay; it's also the benefits you get right away. Some jobs you have to work 6 months before you get benefits, or work a year before you get benefits.
Yeah.
You're like day one, you have benefits. You've got you're going to have paid sick time. You're going to have vacation that you're going to accrue that first year. You got insurance for your family. You've got insurance for yourself and a great insurance package and stuff. So you're gonna have that from day one. So yeah, 58 to 62. That's your first year of probation. Then after that, there's a sizable bump in pay after probation. Then at 3 years, 5 years, and then if you once you get master firefighter, so that's at least 10 years on the job, you get master firefighter pay. Or if you got there is a shorter time if you've got some college and stuff to get that. But the way I look at it is, if you're looking to get into the fire service because of the pay, that's the wrong reason to get into it. You're not going to get rich being a firefighter.
Yeah.
But are you going to be able to provide for your family? Are you going to be able to live comfortably? Absolutely, and stuff. But what's nice about our job too is that if you're that pay's not really enough. Well, guess what? We work 24/48, right? 24 hours out, 48 hours off.
Yep.
Guess what? I have 2 days now that I can work an off day job or do whatever, and supplement some income. Myself, I am an adjunct out at Western Iowa Tech, so on my off days, there's a couple days, 1 or 2 days a week and stuff. I'm teaching out there to make a little extra scratch here, or just odd jobs or whatever. We got guys that do HVAC stuff, guys that are plumbers or electricians, do construction, do whatever. We got guys that do a ton of stuff on their off day. Otherwise, the other thing, what's really nice, those 2 days off is if you do have a family, right, that gives you 2 days at home. I took the time. My wife works a 40-hour work week, so my 2 days off when my kids were really little, I stayed home. I got to, and that's time that when your kids are really little, that's time you don't get back. Instead of always sending them to daycare, they got to go here or whatever. I was fortunate enough. I got to stay home with my kids on my 2 days off, and raise them. Now they're a senior and a freshman and stuff, and they don't want to hang out with anybody anymore. So so it's like but it's time you don't get back. So it's, again, pay isn't always the only thing with this job or anything, but we do. It is a good.
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
There's a
you know.
saying I heard at the fire services: "You'll never be rich, but you'll always be happy."
Yep.
And I truly believe that. It's
Absolutely.
fun. And then you talk about like side hustles and everything. We don't always recommend that on your first year. It's a busy first year. You're doing a lot of on-the-job training. However, afterwards, then we got guys that work their second job. It's one of the few times you can say I'm on probation and be proud of it.
We got a question.
Yeah, they said, do you get paid during training?
Do you get paid during training? That's a good question. So yeah, absolutely. Your probationary year, yeah, you do. So the way it works, if you do get an offer and accept and start on the job, is it 3 weeks or 4 weeks now?
About 4
Three
weeks.
or 4 weeks of a 40-hour work week. So with zero fire experience, we're going to teach you the basic that you need to be able to fight fire and to work on apparatus. And then after those 40-hour weeks, so 8-hour days, you're on shift. You are in it. You are doing it. You're going to spend the first year at Station 3, working the same 24/48. You're going to be part of a crew. You're going to either be on the engine or the truck, and yeah, you're going to be paid the whole time. Just you're hired.
You're a
working.
salary employee right away.
Yep, you are right away. So yeah. Threes is the training, the monitor training you're going to be, because now we those first few days or first few weeks we're throwing a ton at you to get you the basic of what you need to be able to do fire. So stretching hand lines, catching a hydrant, throwing up some ladders, doing just the basic stuff. So now we're going to spend the next year honing all those skills, teaching the EMS skills. There's district studies, so learning the streets in town. There's hydraulics, so it's learning about friction loss and hose pressures and things like that. So we're going to spend a year teaching you all that stuff. But yes, absolutely,
Yep.
you get paid that whole time.
I think that transitions me into one of my questions here. If I have no fire experience and I'm applying for this job, one, how does that change things? And then two, does that hurt my chances of being hired out of the fire department?
No, not
Not
at
yet.
all. No, yeah, you don't have to have any fire experience. Some guys have gone to fire school and gotten hired. I've had a number of our students that we've had out of WIT are on the department now. Does that help? No, I mean, I don't think either one way or another. So you could come because we've got probies on right now that have zero fire experience.
Yeah.
But like I said, we teach you, our Sioux City Fire Rescue, we do some things here that maybe a little bit different stuff. So we teach you how to do it our way. We also use the essentials and stuff. So there is a manual for it in a book, but we teach you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have any experience.
I like it. Perfect. So that kind of goes into the pay. We are I am the International Association of Firefighter, Local 7, been around over 100 years. We're in a contract with the city under that, our firefighter union. That link to our contract, I believe, is on the website with the job application, where you can see what you would make as a probie, as a 1 to 3 year firefighter, a master firefighter, medic, EMT. And then you talk about the benefits too. There's a deferred comp match right off the bat. You go into the municipal police and fire
And
retirement system,
Yep.
which takes care of us.
Yeah, so
We're
that's
very
huge
thankful
too.
for.
So if you look at, could I get a job in the private sector making 6 figures a year? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could do that. Okay, but I got to look at one, what's the benefit package, retirement package, deferred comp, which is huge because a lot of places in the match we get is a good match and stuff. So you can set yourself up good. Plus, it's the amount of fulfillment you're going to get working here. Again, we're calling this the Find Your Purpose Q&A session, and you'll see that Find Your Purpose hashtags getting used a lot of stuff, because this is where you can find your purpose here and what and being able to give back and help people. So sometimes like you said, when you say you're not going to get rich but you'll always be happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because that's what's important.
Awesome. Terry, let's transition to EMS and let's talk about pay on EMS. It's a little different. And sometimes this is probably where our biggest question comes into play in terms of working for the EMS division is pay, because it's a little bit of an optical illusion. So let's talk about pay for EMTs and for paramedics working on the EMS division.
Sure. Actually, thanks to the city council, city manager, everybody above, we did get a pretty good pay bump a couple months ago. That did help. I know that there was a lot of buzz about the pay. One thing I would like to say about both EMS and fire side is, where else as an 18, 19-year-old can you start making this money with as little college
I had
education
zero
as you
college
had?
when I came. I take that back. I had some college. I had a semester at Creighton, But I had some kind of, I got my degree this last spring. I finally
Yeah.
finished up. I got my technical studies degree. But yeah, no college, but no college debt, no student loans, no nothing. Started out, and making money, full benefits, full everything. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Where else can you go?
No, that's awesome. And most people do go to college for 10 years, so don't feel bad about that.
Yeah.
They're
But-
good doctors.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're called doctors, yeah.
So the pay scale, there actually is two different scales. Now the EMS division is not part of Local 7 because we are not sworn personnel. We actually are under a different contract under AFSCME and the PATS union. So ours is structured a little bit different. We get pretty much the same benefits that you guys do. There are some differences, but you guys can find that on the city website as well. For our EMTs, and this is actually off of the city's website, $15.53 per hour, up to $22.18 an hour for more experience for EMTs. The average is $32,299 to $46,142. That is the average. Now, one thing that is going to really affect this, whether you're an EMT or paramedic, as we know, is the overtime.
Correct.
So some people, they have busy lives, they have a lot of things they do on their off days, they don't pick up a lot of overtime. Other people, they will work every single day and pick up overtime shifts. Commonly, our overtime shifts will be from 12 to 24 hours at a shot. They don't just come in for 2 hours.
Yeah.
They come in, and so at the end of the week, you might have 48 hours of extra overtime.
Yeah.
And that's at time and a half. Then we also have the unique opportunity here that we can either get that paid out as a cash value, or we can get what's called comp time, where if you worked 12 hours, then you actually get at a time and a half rate, which would be 18 hours of extra time off in the future, or you could get it as the overtime pay. Not many places ever give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
That's a great benefit as well. So, and like Phil said, you don't want to focus on the hourly. The hourly is pretty decent, but it's just the reward, it's the camaraderie, and the stuff that goes on in the stations. You don't get this anywhere else.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. So this is great. As far as paramedic pay, this also is off of the website. Starts at a brand new paramedic, $46,142, and tops out at $55,371 based on only hourly. It does say on the city's website the average starting pay is $73,828.
Now, the reason that's different is because you guys are 40-hour work week personnel, but our schedules have us working, more than 40 hours a week based off of the 24 on, 48 off rotation.
Yes, yeah. So, don't quote me, but I want to say that the overtime kicks in at 56, I believe, not the 40.
For 40, I believe, for EMS
For
division,
EMS,
and-
okay.
and for the fire suppression, we're 56 hours. So it's
Gotcha.
no
Okay. So you get a lot of overtime.
Yeah.
And the overtime really is going to also influx. It's going to depend on how
Yeah.
short we are on people. If
Yeah.
we are flush across the board, there won't be as much. But we're always short because a lot of people do also apply for fire. And as you guys have retirements, probably about 5 to 7 retirements a year.
Yeah,
You're
sounds
drawing
right.
a lot of people over, and
Yeah.
a lot of people do come from the EMS list. So if you do want to get onto fire, I would strongly suggest do both. So that's a great opportunity. We have great pay, great benefits. I can honestly say you're going to make some good money here, but it's not about the money. A lot of people that work this job, they absolutely love the job, and not because of just the pay. The
Yep.
pay's just frosting on the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were saying like that 73,000. That's not working extra shifts. That's just the schedule that you have
Yeah.
off of a 24/48. Because you think of
Right.
a week, you
It's just
work
the built-in-
3/24s
it's
on
the-
yeah.
Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday.
It's
That's
the built-in
72 hours.
built-in overtime to
it's-
the schedule.
So you're not working extra.
Yeah.
This is your work schedule.
Yeah.
But as soon as during a week you cross 40 hours, then you start making time and a half. And that's kind of how, not that you guys are necessarily a salary employee per se with the city, but that it gives a little bit of a false illusion. You guys actually make significantly more money than what is
And you
advertised.
said, and that
with your
information that's on
schedules.
the application page or on the website, right? If you scroll
Yep.
down a little bit further and
Yep.
stuff, it's on there, so it shows the actual
Sure is.
what you can expect to make. So
So making more than probably what is advertised.
yeah, so
is-
don't, yeah,
is
so on
definitely-
the EMS one, if that's
Yeah.
a deterrent and stuff, yeah, don't necessarily focus on the hourly, more so on what you can actually.
And to really reiterate also something Phil said earlier is that you're on for 24, you're off for 48 and back on. What other jobs can you get to make this type of money and you only work 10 days a month?
10 days a month.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's good.
Most people are only off 10 days a month. They work
Right.
the rest of the month.
Yeah.
This is completely inverse.
Yeah.
There is just so many reasons why this actually is one of the best jobs you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good organization to work for.
Yes.
Any other questions or anything, or no?
Perfect. So let's move on. And we've kind of talked about the work schedule. It's a 24 on, 48 off work schedule. So then you got things like, you get vacation every year, and you get, I think as a new firefighter, once you're up probation, you get 10 shifts.
Yep.
So let's talk about, kind of what the work schedule looks like and then the benefits of that 24, 48 in terms of, some time off, time trades and stuff like that.
Well, and yeah, because that 24, 48, because you need that 48 hours off sometimes to recover. There's a number of times you have shifts that you're busy. So, sometimes you tell people, well, we work 24 or 48. Like, oh, you have to be up for that whole 24. No, we don't. We all the stations have bunk rooms and stuff, and we can occupy a bed and go to sleep at night and stuff. So, so you're not awake the whole 24, but there's the potential, right? That you get, do runs all day, runs all night, fire overnight, the EMS, you guys, it seems like the ambulances run a lot overnight. So sometimes you need those 2 days just to sleep and recover and get the body back in shape to come back to work and do it again. So it's important to have that time just for recovery. It's important for that time for that mental health aspect too and stuff to be able to go and decompress. And it's important for that family time because you are away from your family for 24 hours. So a third of our life is spent in this firehouse away from your family. So you need that time off. But if I think about it, right? So 24, 48. And then, so if I have 48 here and a 24 in the middle and a 48 here, right? If I have a vacation day on that 24 on my work shift, or I trade that day, right? If I trade you and me, say, hey, can you work for me? I'll work for you this day. All right. Now all of a sudden I've got 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
Right. So if instead of saying, well, I need to get a week off from work, a normal person goes and says, oh, I got to put in for a whole week and burn a week's worth of vacation.
Yep.
I have 1 day, take one shift, and I have a week's worth of vacation.
Yeah, 1-2 shifts, and you can get
so
five,
that's kind of
5 up to 8 days off.
Yep. So that's kind of nice. And the trading time is something we do between you and that doesn't affect our pay. It's between you and I, an agreement and stuff that you work for me, I'll work for you. But that's a really neat thing for us to be able to have that benefit. So that, if I just, or a couple, hey, can you work for me 6 hours? My kid's got a football game or something. Or I got this, I want to do that. And so we're able to do that, which makes things kind of nice. You're not always missing stuff.
It's a unique opportunity for
Yes.
sure, and a very unique schedule.
So that schedule, once you get used to it, I always say I can't do a 40-hour work week. I really can't.
Yeah,
Once you that 24, 48 is like, it's pretty awesome once you get to it.
So let's transfer into a little more, and then let's just a couple more questions here. Duties as a firefighter, very briefly. You're a firefighter. What does Sioux City Fire do?
Everything and anything. I mean, our job is to prepare for the unknown and the unknowable, because you can get. We could go on something where it's as simple as, an EMS call. So we do run EMS. It's not just all fire. 70% of our job is EMS. So, everything from just going to lift assist because, grandma or grandpa just fell down and they just need help back up in a chair to, car accidents and wrecks where, guys are cutting people out with auto extrication, tech rescue, so high angle, low angle rescue. We've got hazmat here that we do. We've got swift water rescue. We've got ice water rescue. We've got, everything. So, it's not, there's so much we do anymore. It's where the fire department or, fire rescue over a few years ago, Chief Everett said, we're no longer just a fire department anymore. We're a fire rescue because we entail so many things that we do. So it's hard to say like, well, what are your duties today? Well, you say, we're going to clean the kitchen, clean the firehouse, mop some floors, clean the rig, take care of the apparatus, and then we're going to go to training. We're going to go through but there's a lot of stuff. So what makes that nice though is because it's a variety. It's not the same thing every day. It's not the grind. It's always something new, something different. Keeps it exciting. Keeps you motivated. Keeps it fun. And you never know what you're going to get when those tones drop and stuff. Do we have a question, Rap? Okay. We just gotta find it.
Let's find it here. Give him a minute. Yeah,
Right.
I would just say.
Well, while he's looking at that, one thing I also want to add to that is that television shows, they really oversell the downtime. We don't sit in the recliners all day.
No.
So there's always something to do from 8 a.m. until the evening. It's training, it's running calls, it's cleaning, it's washing trucks, restocking. There's always something to do. So very little do we just sit around in recliners and watch television. It just doesn't happen.
Did we lose the camera? Push the button, no, the one on the down on the by the viewfinder on the front that looks like a play button. So it's up in the upper right hand corner.
We still got sound?
Go. No, you're putting your thumb in the wrong spot. Did the battery die on it? Or the live feed cut? Oh.
Dead.
Oh, the camera died. So we still have audio though? Oh, well, I guess we still have audio, but we just lost the.
They know what we look like. Just
got
Okay.
audio, yeah,
Well,
let's
we'll
finish
keep
it.
going.
That was a
We're
radio
sorry
show.
about-
Yeah. Welcome to the radio show.
Podcast.
First
Okay,
question.
first
You guys
question.
are calling your days off.
What's
On
that? Are we
call.
on call on our days off? No. So when you're on your off day, you're on your off day. So I
Yeah.
get relieved at 8 o'clock in the morning for my off days, and I go home. And that's it. Now, is there potential that we have a large incident or the city gets busy a lot of times? During bad storms, big fires and stuff. Could I get called back?
Yeah.
There is potential for that, yes, but I'm not on call. I don't carry a pager.
Yep.
I'm not. It's not like a volunteer or paid on call department
Yep.
where you're. So no, I'm
Yeah,
not. If
I
I'm
would-
on my off days. I'm on my off days.
Yeah, and even those mass recalls, those are a rarity. They
Rarity,
do
yeah.
happen, and it is part of it. It's part of the job. But
Yeah. And another question.
What's your favorite part about being a firefighter or a paramedic?
Well, Terry, you take this question
go
first.
over there.
Well, from a paramedic point of view, I think historically it's always been being at the supermarket, being at the mall, even I teach EMT classes. People come up and they say, I don't know if you remember me, but you were at our house and you did CPR on my dad. Thank you. And it's those things that you can't put a price tag on those things because you made an impact on someone's life, no matter what the outcome was. That is the coolest part of this job, is knowing that you really put everything you had into saving somebody's home, saving somebody's life. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would have to say the same thing. That the interactions and stuff with the people, and when you can see the difference that you were able to make in somebody's life because you were there. We go to people's homes sometimes on the worst day of their life,
Yeah.
and just to be there and just to see the comfort in somebody's face because you held their hand, or you were just there and you just told them it's going to be okay, or a hand on the shoulder, something like that. But then, like I said, in those interactions, like later on when you're like, hey, you were here for this and you were here for that,
Yeah.
that's, I think it's just that fulfillment and stuff that, we don't, it's not like you're looking for that pat on the back all the time. But when it comes, you're like, wow, that's really cool to know that this is why I want to do this, and I really am making a difference. So
Yeah.
I'd
And
say that's
I would
kind of
reiterate what both you guys just said and kind of mix up a little bit. Two things always stick out. One, I always love a kid when he used to tell us to honk the horn or something. You're in the back of the rig. That's always really cool. And the other thing I'd say is, the people we get to work with, not only the people we get going
Yeah.
on calls with, but we work with some fun people.
Oh, yeah.
I laugh at my job a lot. I'm just always smiling. We're always cracking jokes. We're having a good time.
Yep.
And we cook up together. We eat just about every meal together. It's a good time. So I certainly enjoy it. I love that camaraderie. I love that family aspect, and that for me, that's one of my favorite parts. But like you said, it's a very rewarding career.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good question. So there was a question asked about the CPAT. So if I apply for the fire department and go through that process and pass the CPAT, or if I have a CPAT card, because that's the other thing. If you're testing for fire departments already, anyways, and you have a CPAT card, the city will honor that through our fire process. So if you tested in, let's say Council Bluffs or whatever and stuff, or Des Moines or someplace that does a CPAT, you have a card, it's good. Those CPAT cards are typically good for a year, and we'll honor that. If you passed a CPAT, okay, and you're like, I have a CPAT card, I want to apply for the EMS division, do I have to take the EPAT then? No, because the CPAT is actually a harder test, and if you have a good CPAT card, that counts as your EPAT also, so you will not have to take an EPAT then.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys. So I got two more questions here. We'll make quick. We'll wrap our show up tonight.
Okay.
One, I'll get to you, Terry. Let's just go over some duties of the EMS division as EMTs and paramedics. What does a day look like on a rig here in town running 911?
Our shifts start at 8 a.m. promptly, and they always starts out with a rig check. So they go out, they go through their entire ambulance, make sure everything's there, resupply it as they need to. We know that a call can come in virtually any moment, so it's important that those trucks are ready from go. And then it really depends on the tempo of the day. For example, this week we do training on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays because we have 3 different shifts. So we had crews coming for training at 9:30. We had crews coming for training at 1:30, at 3. So some days they train. Some days they're just running calls all day. Some days they're washing the floors in the station. It really varies day to day. but most of the day is spent on some type of a call, taking people to the hospital, and restocking afterwards. There is a lot of documentation, paperwork that has to be done as well, but usually in the evenings things wind down a little bit, but we're at the mercy of 911. So.
Absolutely, and I can think of like some of the trainings we have done recently that they're really fun. You know, we've had worked with some really cool opportunities, some really cool groups, and a lot of cool opportunities. So
Right.
Going then, and then we have another question.
Yeah, it was a question. It was asked if somebody can use their GI Bill during training. I'm not a military person, but I've been told by a military person that yes, whatever that means, that yes, you can use your GI Bill during training.
Yep, your GI Bill post 9/11, whether you haven't served overseas yet or have, I know that where it varies. I'm a National Guard guy as well, so I know that you can. I use mine, get a little extra money. It's on the job training. I believe both fire and EMS you can use the GI Bill for. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what are some deciding factors for applicants? Some deciding factors. I guess I'm not.
I would probably say deciding factors, and how do they just when a chief has his 20 names, how does he determine who he's picking? What are things they value?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, and that's going to be that's Chief Everett's.
for the boss.
He's and that's for the boss makes that decision and stuff. But I will say that we have value-based leadership, and he has a clear vision and a purpose for this department, and that's why why we're saying find your purpose, because that's where the way the ship is steering and stuff, that that's what he's looking for, and somebody that seems like they're going to be a good fit for what our purpose and our vision is and stuff. We have it's right here on the cup. You can't see it on the cameras did, but our commitment, our competence, and our performance, our CCP, is basically our mantra that we operate by every single day. Is our commitment to the department, our commitment to the citizens that we serve, the commitment to each other, to keep each other safe. Everybody goes home, to work hard, to train hard. Our competence and our duties to make sure that we're one of the best departments in the country, and we are. We're CFAI accredited. We're an ISO 1. We're the only department in Iowa that's an ISO 1. We're the only second department in the Midwest to have the CFAI international accreditation and ISO 1. The other one's Sioux Falls, and we're only one of. We used to be, and I'm not sure if we still are, but at least one of only 5 municipalities in the entire country that has an accredited police department, comm center, ambulance service with a CAS certification, and fire department. So when you do that, 5 municipalities in the country have those, but it puts us in the top 0.5% of all departments worldwide. So to be competent in our jobs, we are extremely good, and then to perform at the highest level possible. Again, because we owe it to the citizens that we serve, and we owe it to each other to perform. It's like when you look at the guy next to you, it's going back to sports, going back to a football team, when you say, hey, you look to that guy, are you going to give that extra inch? Are you going to give all you got? Fourth quarter, those, what are you going to do? And that's what we do on a day, and that's why we are the department we are. So yeah, Chief, deciding factors, he wants to find somebody that's going to fit into that. So if that's someone
that's looking to be part of a team, I think is what speaks to me. And then also I think of this is a field where I wouldn't say like a guy with the highest degree may not translate always into like your best guy, where it's kind of a school of hard knocks, and when you learn out in the field. So not to speak for the chief, but you're looking for those things that you can't teach or that you can't get in a degree, and just those values, and just looking for those kinds of people. So that's where I think we hit on. I think guys, some people, as males, females, whoever is applying, they're determined to wait. So like, I don't have any experience. I've never done this before. I know nothing about the fire service. That's fine. We're looking for what you can't teach, and what then looking for a member. So I think that's all the time we have today, guys. I think we've covered just about anything. We got through all the questions I wanted to cover. We had some great questions coming in. I'm glad we got that interaction. This is a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do it again in the future for something. I hope it went well. It wasn't, this is our first time, so don't beat us up too much.
I think for our first time, we had some things. We learned some things and stuff. And I think maybe make sure we'll have the camera plugged in next time, so we get video the whole time and stuff. So I enjoyed our time and stuff. And Terry, thanks for coming. Ben, thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys.
We got Firefighter Baker running the machine in the back and watching the stream, so I appreciate everybody's help. So with that, we'll sign off and catch you next time.
Good luck with the process, and we'll hope to see a lot of candidates out excited. Hopefully this helps.
All right, thank you.